Welcome back, my friends. It's Joyful J. And I have all the things that I really like right here. I have my paintbrushes, I have my Bible, I have my journal, and I have some paper that we're going to paint on today. So in my reading today in Colossians, it's Colossians chapter 1. It says, "For he has rescued us from the kingdom of darkness and transferred us into the kingdom of his dear Son, who purchased our freedom and forgave us our sins." So yesterday when I was talking about the two kingdoms in my journal, this is just a verse that actually solidifies that there are two kingdoms, one of darkness and one of the Son of God, who's Jesus. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and we're just going to get busy painting. Sometimes for me, the hardest part is trying to figure out what am I going to paint. So while I'm walking through that process and setting things up, I'm going to take and activate my watercolors. We are going to paint this picture. This is a little local church in our town, so I'm going to need blues, greens, and reds, and some variations of those colors. So those are the colors that I'm going to activate. And I have two things of water. This one is for cleaning the brushes, and this one I keep clean to activate my watercolor paints. So the beautiful thing for me about watercolor paints is you never waste them. Even when they dry up, you can just take a little bit of water and you can just activate them with a few little drops of water. And this, where they've been dry, I can activate those with a wet brush. But I'm also going to do my greens and some yellows and some blues and reds on that palette. So you see that I have two different palettes, and I'm not real good with knowing what these colors are, so I kind of do a little cheat sheet. And I have numbered my colors. So number 13 is lemon yellow. And when I run out of lemon yellow there, I can just get into my watercolor supply, grab number 13, verify that it is lemon yellow, and then I can refill my little watercolor square. You can tell that I recycle. So any kind of little container that I can find, that's a pretty big sour cream container. That must have been used for a party. I promise you, there's only two in my household. We did not eat that, just the two of us. Oops, I gotta turn it in so I can see the numbers on here. Different people store things differently, so if you're into painting, you're gonna find your way to paint. So this, what I'm painting on, this is a huge, big picture frame with plexiglass in it. I just found that I use this a lot. I can tape smaller pieces on there of watercolor. I use this as my oil, the base for my oil paint. So this will be my oil paint palette. And when I paint in oils, I typically only use the primary. So this primary wheel here will help me mix my colors. But today we're doing watercolor. Watercolor is probably my favorite medium. So when I do a little piece like this, and this is a little scrap piece of paper, watercolor paper, I bought it at Walmart, I think, just basic watercolor paper. I did just get this, though. This is artist tape, because when I do these, I like to have a little frame around the border, and so this will just help me make that frame. It doesn't necessarily need to be perfect, and it will also hold my watercolor paper in place. So I just tape it to the board. I just eyeball it, not trying to be perfect at all, because none of us are perfect. There is not one who is perfect. We all fall short This is a little extra piece. I'll just stick it here because you can see the blue tape. Up until today, I was using blue painter's tape. But sometimes it pulls the paper, you know, because I don't use the most expensive paper, it will pull that paper. So we're going to paint this little church scene. I am not into perfection, but I do enjoy drawing and painting. So when you look at these, look at whatever it is you're painting, identifying those shapes is the number one thing. That's where I start. So here I see a rectangle and another rectangle inside of a rectangle, smaller rectangles, a square with a rectangle inside of it. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with the big rectangle. Then I will add the square on top with a little rectangle in between those two. This is actually a triangle. Then we have a couple triangle shapes here with some bushes in front and another little store back here. So that's what we're going to do. That's where we're starting. Even though this picture's centered, I'm not going to center it on my paper. It just adds a little bit more interest. So we're just going to start with a rectangle. The first rectangle. And perfection is not what I'm looking for. So I'm going to do the second little square or rectangle here. I will do a little rectangle here. I'm going to do a triangle for the roof. And at the top of the roof, there's a cross. Then we have a rectangle here. We have a little circle. We have the door is a rectangle with two rectangle windows next to those. And on top of those windows are some little arch things. I'm not real sure what that is. So then we have these two wings, and I just kind of come down. Oh, it's a little more than halfway. So there's halfway. I'll come down and make a wing here. I'm going to make a little wing over there. Now there's bushes, or those are actually palm trees. So I'm just going to make a few scribbles. That'll be my palm tree. That's got a window in it, so we can put that in there. There's a little bit of a roof line. A little bit of a roof line. I hope you can see this all. You know, this is like day 2 of making videos, so I'm trying. And we will evaluate and adjust. Oh, I have a tripod. I told my husband, ooh, I'm doing these videos. And he said, oh, I have a tripod. So he helped set me up with the tripod. So I'm very grateful for that. So we got the little windows and another palm tree right there. I'm not trying to be perfect. The square or the stairs kind of come down at a little angle with lots of little lines, and it's got a walkway. And we have a building line over here. Big palm tree. Big palm tree. We have a little walkway with some grass. There's buildings over here, but I'm going to just pretend that is some tree line because I'm not taking time to build or draw that. This is just a quick little painting because I like to get color on paper. That is one of my big things. There's an archway here. I am going to add that little archway there. There's, it kind of goes back that way. And as you can tell, I'm not trying to be absolutely perfect. The tree line will continue. We've got another big tree over here. By now, my paints should be a little more activated. And when I start working on the, there's a walkway that goes around here. That's all grass. There's a couple palm trees. I'm going to do the sky first. So that's going to be my drawing. Just a quick drawing. I'm not trying to do anything elaborate at this point. I'm just practicing painting, getting paint on paper. So I'm using a number 16 round, and this I will use for most of the painting today. The sky is my biggest part, so I'm going to do it in blue, and I'm going to go wet paint on dry paper, and then I will add more water with a wet brush. So this is pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here and put some blue here, there. And usually at the top is going to be darker than the bottom. Rinse my brush off, and now I'm just going to kind of smear that paint around a little bit. It's okay if it bleeds into the other features. This is just playing and practicing. And I just want to encourage you, no matter what your age, we aren't looking for perfection. We are just, let's just paint. Let's paint. Let's paint. Oh, so you see I got some blue on that tree, but that'll be okay. Now I'm going to go for some green. Actually, I'm going to do this walkway first, and that's going to be in a little bit of just this color. It's not going to be the color of the walkway, but it's the color that I have there. So let's just make that walkway this color here. I also have a old washcloth that I use quite a bit. Now I'm going to move over to some greens, and then we'll work on the church. And again, I've got a lot of water on my brush, and I'm just putting them out there, putting some green out there. There's a green bush right here. This is kind of green here. Not trying to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I want a little bit darker green for this back tree line. And you can see that I'm not staying inside the lines. It's fine. It is not a problem. This is a quick, very quick little painting. Of a little church building. Now I'm going to move over to the brown for the tree trunks. And I'm just lightly putting brown up there. There's a tree trunk here. There's a little tree there. There's a tree back here and a tree there. These trees in the back, because I've gotten so much paint on them, I'm going to go with black. A little black. Put a little black in the back. I am going to get a little bit smaller brush to do the windows and on the church. And I'm going to use some of this gray that I have up here, because it doesn't need to be totally black, but it needs to be a little bit darker than the white. And I just put the windows in. Let's put some windows in. There's a window. There's a window. This is a little gray. There's some shadow. I'm going to get a lighter gray because there's some shadowing on the church. Uh-oh, way too much water. Dab that off. Get my brush a little drier. Little shadows there. There's some shadows there. Little shadow. Let's get those palm trees painted. Ooh, my favorite brush. It kind of has these little hairs. I don't know if you can see that. And I want the darker one. So, nope, let's get more water. And I'm just going to paint palm fronds. painting palm fronds. Ever since I was a little kid, palm trees has been one of those favorite trees for me to paint. And they don't have to be perfect. This is having fun, being okay with making mistakes, because that's life. We make mistakes and we learn from them. So the learning curve on these YouTube channels, I will tell you, is real. So I've learned a lot yesterday and today. And I need a couple more lines on my trellis. And I'm going to call that done. I'm going to sign it, JB. Oh wait, the steps. I should do darker on the steps. Oh, and the red door. Let's get the door red. I'm going to take some of that paint off just so it doesn't bleed. The red door is what makes the little church. And I was totally bypassing the little red door. There's some steps. It bled a little bit. I'm going to pick up that paint with a drier brush. Yeah. And I'm going to call that done. Before all of it dries, I will peel this tape off. And it leaves a nice little border. I will use this tape again. I will use the tape again. I want to say thank you for stopping by and watching my videos. It's something new that I'm learning, and I'm hoping that I can teach you along the way. This is Joyful J, wishing you a very blessed day. Go find somebody to spread some joy to. Have a good one. Bye.